your first click and get online. Over 9 million adults in the UK have never used the internet, so you're not alone if you're not online. Well, since we've been talking about this scheme, we've had a lot of people get in touch and saying they're going to, they're going to take their first click. But a few people have got in touch to say, look, I'd love to. But, well, let me just read you out a couple of the texts we've had. You have to have a landline to go on the internet, so total cost is £30 plus. That's expensive for people on pensions or low incomes. Walt says, Rod, no one's mentioned the cost of a computer and broadband connections, etc. For people on low incomes, like pensioners, one-parent families, that's too much. Joy in Lawton says no one mentions the cost of setting up and running a computer. All right, let's talk to Trefor Davies, who's an internet expert in the county. Trev, morning to you. It can be difficult for people to get online, and there is this issue of cost.
I think the cost is a real serious issue. I was thinking about this on the way in, but the only answer I have is that either you have to rely on your neighbours and have the good neighbour kind of scheme, or you go down to the library. They've got banks of computers that you can use in the library. Although I will say one thing, that there are cost benefits to using the internet that people don't perhaps fully understand. We've got two sets of grandparents in our house. My wife's father will not touch the internet, but my dad, some time ago now, and he's 76 now, and he's an avid internet user, he realised that if he stopped taking the daily paper, then he could read the paper online, and that would pay for the internet connection. And now he's always on the internet. He uses it. We send him photos of the kids and all this kind of. So that there are ways and means of looking at the cost side. But I do accept that it does cost, and if you're on a pension.
One of the things that sometimes happens is that dutiful sons and daughters will buy themselves a new computer, and they give mum or dad their old one, and in some ways that doesn't help, does it? Because they're getting really old equipment, which is quite difficult to master and doesn't work as well as it used to, and that seems a shame. But I suppose it's better than nothing.
Jimmy, but you don't need anything special to get on the internet. My wife's computer is the first computer we ever bought as a family, which is probably 10 years old now, and all she ever does is look on eBay and stuff like that. The M&S website.
Well, the social networking thing is important, isn't it? Because I know my wife uses it at the computer largely, so she can use Facebook and well, I would say other leading brands of social networks, but that's the one that she wants to use. And it's a great way for... I always think, if my mum was on the internet, because she refuses to go on it, we would actually converse so much more, which is a sad indictment on society, perhaps, but that's the way it is.
Well, my dad is on Facebook, but he never uses it. I think that's one step too far from him from a user's perspective. But our eldest son Tom left to go to university this summer, and we keep in touch with him on Facebook. We see when he's online. We look at what he's been up to. We don't make any comments because we don't want to think that we're intruding. But the same could apply for grandparents. They put photos up of what's happening, and it's a great way for them to keep in touch with the grandkids.
Well, it is a great way of keeping in touch, but it's one thing to say this. It's another thing actually to actually persuade mum or dad to actually go on the internet because of that fear factor.
Yeah, fear, it is a big step for people. My dad is constantly ringing me up saying, what do I do here? And I think realistically, people, like I mentioned before, have to rely on community support. There's a big initiative going on with Martha Lane Fox and the government's digital inclusion czar. And coincidentally, I was talking to her last week about this, and I think it's down to communities and businesses to go out and reach out to people that are not online and help them. I'm going to be starting an initiative with my own business, Tamiko. We're an internet service provider, to offer communities the help just to show people how you click, how you get on Facebook, how you use Google, and very basic sort of driving lessons, really.
You do take things for granted, don't you? I went to see my mum last weekend, and she uses a computer. She has no problem with computers at all. But she said, can you just check this out for me? And I just cut and pasted something. She said, what did you just do? I said, I just cut and paste. She said, cut and paste? What's that? And you've got to take these things that we do every day for granted, which, of course, make cut and pasting is kind of an essential thing. But nobody's ever, me included, have never taken the trouble to explain it to her.
You're absolutely right. In fact, I shouldn't tell you all this, but my 10-year-old is my wife's IT support manager because she doesn't use it day in, day out, and it's not intuitive to her. But the other problem, of course, is if something goes wrong, what do you do to sort that out? If cutting and pasting is a challenge for you, then rebooting a computer or finding out why it's not connecting to the internet is a completely different kettle of fish, and that's where you do need some learned help, if you like.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing I discovered, or she discovered, as a result of my efforts, was the undo button. Where would we be, Trev, without the undo button?
I've actually got a send to bed button, because I occasionally see my kids still on Facebook at 10 o'clock at night, and I said, oi, get to bed from downstairs.
Trev, good to see you this morning. You have a good day. Trefor Davies, though, is an internet expert based in the county, and we could do with an undo button on this programme sometimes. I often feel it's 9:15.